Hi everyone, it's Hazel here, Finley's mum. I just wanted to come on and give a bit of an update. I haven't got a script and I'll probably ramble. But I wanted to come on personally and just to thank everyone for their support and for sharing our story and helping us spread awareness. I really do appreciate it. And I felt that I owed you more of a personal update as to how things are going. We've certainly covered a lot of ground since we started Finley's Voice back in the summer. And I won't dress it up. It's been hard. We are fighting for change, fighting for changes that we know will save others, save other children in Canada. And I guess the word fighting is an appropriate word. Perhaps there was some naivety when we started this, that, when people hear what happened to us, what happened to Finlay, that when we shared that story, that those who really can bring about change would rally around and would grab it with both hands, and they would say, thank you for bringing this to us. We're sorry for what happened, and it never should have happened, and now is the time to make changes. And that's not what has happened. The reality is that it really feels like a fight, that we rally, we petition, we speak to everyone we possibly can, including our Minister of Health, Minister Jones. And in that moment that we're having conversations, there's a little bit of excitement, because you think, oh, they're listening. They're listening to what we have to say. They understand that change is needed, and for sure they want to help. But the reality is that it's mostly just platitudes. That as soon as that call ends, or we walk away from that meeting, that it's forgotten, that it's no longer important. It's like hitting a brick wall over and over again. So yes, I am frustrated. We are frustrated. And don't get me wrong, there's people who do step up, who are really putting themselves out there for us. But those that really can and do have the authority to make these changes are a little bit more reticent to do so. And it's hard for us to comprehend when we are dealing with something that is preventable, where there are solutions that are easy to implement. And when I say easy to implement, it's not that we need to go out there and find a new vaccination or a new cure for something. This is about processes. This is about protocols. This is about putting boundaries and limits and putting measures in place, having compliance and ensuring that the compliance, the standards, the guidelines, that it's all met. We're not asking for something that is rocket science. We're not asking for the new cure to something. Yet, trying to get people to take action is hard work. It's a fight. And people say, Hazel, you need to have patience and you need to have perseverance and just keep at it and keep emailing them, keep on at it. We are the parents who lost their child. We are the parents who had to sit through waiting as our son deteriorated to the point where there was no return, that we had to decide to take him off life support. We are the family who are grieving. We are the family who is dealing with the trauma that comes from having experienced all of that. And yet, we are the ones that must stand up and must push and be patient and it's hard. And it shouldn't have to be the grieving family that enacts change. It should be the politicians. It should be the government. It should be the health professionals, associations, colleges who pick up the charge of making change. And yet it always falls. It always falls to those who had to suffer. So be it. Maybe that's just my rant, and I had to get that off my chest. But I just want you to understand and see and feel a little bit of the frustration where we're not asking for something complicated here. We're asking for you, the government, provincially, federally, to take the charge, to take the baton from us and ensure that change is enacted, that we don't keep killing our children, because that's essentially what's happening. If it's preventable, if there is a way to prevent something and nobody does anything, it's your responsibility. You're accountable because you knew there was something you could do. Last year in November, we submitted complaints to the College of Nurses of Ontario. It's a process that was recommended to us to submit those complaints because the College of Nurses of Ontario would do a thorough investigation into what happened. They would come with recommendations, improvements, and that just maybe, changes would come about, improvements, justice. I don't know what that looks like anymore. So that was over 12 months ago. What has ensued has been a process and communication which has been distressing, stressful, avoidable stress, avoidable anxiety about what's happening, and re-traumatization. The College of Nurses sent us a first update 8 months after we filed our complaints. That update in a document was one bullet point. And in that bullet point, it said, waiting for the responses of the nurses. 8 months had gone by, and apparently it was okay that complaints made, and let's be honest, the complaints made were not minor. The complaints made resulted in the death of a child. Yet it was okay for the nurses not to respond. In August, the end of August, 29th of August, we received another update which said their investigations had completed and they had made their decisions. So obviously we were happy in one sense that it was now complete, and were perhaps with some nervousness and anticipation kind of waiting for those reports to come. The first report dropped in October, 14th of October. In that report, just give me a moment. So I was just pulling up the report because I wanted to make sure I didn't say anything wrong in terms of what had been the findings. So I'm just going to read elements of that to you right now. The member, and then in quotation marks, did a good assessment and recognized that the oxygen saturation was lower. However, the member did not appreciate the severity as they had more experience with adult patients and may have failed to recognize the significance of the decrease in oxygen saturations or decline in respiratory status. A good assessment because they recognized it, but they didn't know what to do with that information. It goes on to say that the committee expresses concern regarding the member's knowledge, skill, and judgment, as the member appears to have lacked the knowledge to appropriately assess the client and escalate the situation as required. Furthermore, the committee is of the view that the member's actions posed a high risk of patient harm. I'm just going to let that sink in. They lacked knowledge, skill, and judgment to take the appropriate action, that they're a high risk of patient harm. I don't think it gets any more high risk than it does in our case. The decision or the conclusion from this committee is that there was no action to be taken. This is not a witch hunt. I'm not telling you this because I want it to be. I'm telling you this because something is very wrong with our system, that the governing body, whose purpose is to ensure patient safety, who identifies that a nurse or several nurses lacked the knowledge and skill and judgment to do their job, and that they will take no action. Sorry, this is hard, but it's necessary. This is not okay. Now, I appreciate that those nurses took some courses in the 8 months that they did not respond. But it's not sufficient. This is not sufficient for us, and it shouldn't be sufficient for you. We were already terrified that we may have to ever step in an ER again. And after getting these reports, I just am lost for words. I'm lost for words. And we've thought long and hard about sharing this information with you all. But we believe you need to know this. The system, our medical system, our ER departments across this country need help. So I guess before you get totally sick of my voice, I guess what I am asking from everyone, but in particular to our government, is I'm asking for your help. I'm asking for you to take charge of ensuring that this doesn't happen again. And the more time that goes by that you ignore our calls for action, that you do nothing, then more children will be lost. More deaths will happen because we're not addressing the problems. Please listen. Please act. Thank you.